The Fourth Crusade and its consequences for the Eastern Roman Empire. The Fourth Crusade, 1202–1204, stands as one of the most controversial and consequential events in the history of the Crusades. Unlike its predecessors, which were primarily aimed at reclaiming the Holy Land from Muslim control, the Fourth Crusade deviated from its original objective, culminating in the sack of Constantinople, the capital of the Eastern Roman Byzantine Empire. This event significantly weakened the Byzantine Empire, altered the course of medieval geopolitics, and deepened the schism between Eastern and Western Christianity. This essay examines the causes, events, and far-reaching consequences of the Fourth Crusade for the Eastern Roman Empire and the broader medieval world. 1. Background and origins of the Fourth Crusade. 1.1 The call for a new crusade. After the failure of the Third Crusade to reclaim Jerusalem, Pope Innocent III initiated plans for a new crusade in 1198. His vision was to strengthen Christian unity and reclaim the Holy Land. He called upon European monarchs, nobles, and knights to participate, emphasizing the spiritual rewards of the campaign. However, unlike the earlier crusades, many monarchs were preoccupied with domestic issues. Leadership of the Fourth Crusade fell to a group of French nobles, who lacked the resources and authority to independently fund such an ambitious mission. 1.2 The role of Venice. To transport the Crusaders to the Holy Land, the Crusade leaders struck a deal with the Republic of Venice. Venice agreed to provide a fleet in exchange for a substantial fee. When the Crusaders were unable to pay the full amount, the Venetian Doge Enrico Dandolo proposed an alternative plan. The Crusaders would assist Venice in capturing the port city of Zara, modern-day Zadar, Croatia, a rival Christian city. This diversion marked the first step away from the Crusade's original purpose and set a precedent for prioritizing economic and political objectives over religious ones. 2. The diversion to Constantinople. 2.1 The Byzantine context. By the early 13th century, the Byzantine Empire was in political turmoil. Emperor Isaac II Angelos had been deposed and blinded by his brother, Alexios III. Isaac's son, Alexios IV, sought Western assistance to reclaim the throne, promising substantial financial rewards and military support to the Crusaders in return. This proposal appealed to the Crusaders and Venetians, as it offered a way to finance their expedition and secure a powerful ally. In 1203, the Crusaders diverted to Constantinople to restore Alexios IV to the throne. 2.2 The siege and installation of Alexios IV. The Crusaders besieged Constantinople and successfully installed Alexios IV as co-emperor alongside his father. However, Alexios IV struggled to fulfill his promises to the Crusaders, including the payment of vast sums and uniting the Byzantine Church with Rome. These failures eroded his support among the Byzantine population. In 1204, Alexios IV was overthrown and murdered by a Byzantine noble, Alexios V. Doukas, who opposed the Crusaders. This betrayal enraged the Crusaders and Venetians, prompting them to launch a second assault on Constantinople. 3. The sack of Constantinople, 1204. 3.1 The fall of the city. On April 12, 1204, the Crusaders breached the walls of Constantinople. The city, renowned as a center of wealth, art, and culture, was subjected to a brutal sack. Crusaders looted churches, palaces, and homes, desecrating religious relics and monuments. Thousands of citizens were killed, and countless treasures were stolen or destroyed. 3.2 The establishment of the Latin Empire. Following the sack, the Crusaders established the Latin Empire of Constantinople, with Baldwin of Flanders crowned as its first emperor. The Byzantine Empire fragmented into several successor states, including the Empire of Nicaea, the Despotate of Epirus, the Empire of Trebizond. These states continued to resist the Latin Empire, striving to reclaim Constantinople. 4. Consequences for the Eastern Roman Empire. 4.1 Political fragmentation and decline. The sack of Constantinople marked a turning point in Byzantine history. The once mighty empire was reduced to a collection of fractured territories, unable to recover its former strength. Although the Byzantines recaptured Constantinople in 1261 under the leadership of the Empire of Nicaea, the empire never regained its political or economic dominance. 4.2 Economic devastation. The looting of Constantinople drained the city of its wealth and resources. Key trade routes were disrupted, and the Venetians gained control over much of the Byzantine maritime economy. The economic decline further weakened the empire, leaving it vulnerable to external threats. 4.3 Religious and cultural consequences. The Fourth Crusade deepened the divide between the Eastern Orthodox and Roman Catholic churches. The desecration of Orthodox churches and relics by Catholic crusaders intensified animosities, solidifying the schism that had begun with the Great Schism of 1054. For many Byzantines, the Fourth Crusade epitomized Western betrayal and hypocrisy. The loss of priceless cultural artifacts and manuscripts during the sack was another profound consequence. Many treasures were transported to Western Europe, enriching cities like Venice but depriving the Byzantine Empire of its cultural heritage. 5. Broader implications for the Mediterranean world. 5.1 The rise of Venice. Venice emerged as one of the greatest beneficiaries of the Fourth Crusade. The city gained control over key territories and trade routes in the eastern Mediterranean, solidifying its position as a dominant maritime and economic power. 5.2 The Ottoman opportunity. The weakening of the Byzantine Empire created opportunities for the rise of the Ottoman Turks. By the 14th century, the Ottomans began their expansion into Byzantine territories, culminating in the fall of Constantinople in 1453. The Fourth Crusade can thus be seen as a prelude to the eventual Ottoman conquest. 5.3 The end of the crusading ideal. The Fourth Crusade undermined the spiritual and moral justification of the Crusades. The focus on material gain and the betrayal of fellow Christians disillusioned many Europeans and eroded support for future crusades. The movement lost much of its earlier religious fervor, becoming increasingly driven by political and economic motives. 6. Legacy of the Fourth Crusade. 6.1 A symbol of division. The Fourth Crusade remains a symbol of the deep divisions within Christendom. It demonstrated how political and economic interests could overshadow religious objectives, with devastating consequences for both East and West. 6.2 The transfer of Byzantine culture. While the sack of Constantinople was a tragedy for the Byzantine Empire, it also facilitated the transfer of Byzantine art, knowledge, and culture to Western Europe. This influx of ideas contributed to the intellectual and artistic flourishing of the Renaissance. 7. Long-term impact on the Byzantine Empire and Europe. 7.1 Byzantine recovery and continued decline. The recapture of Constantinople by the Byzantines in 1261 under the Palaiologos dynasty offered a glimmer of hope for the empire's recovery. However, the damage inflicted by the Fourth Crusade proved insurmountable. Political weakness. The Byzantine Empire remained fragmented, with weakened central authority and constant internal strife. The surrounding successor states continued to vie for influence, leaving the empire vulnerable to external threats. Economic hardship. The Venetians and other Western powers maintained control over key trade routes, depriving the Byzantines of critical revenue. Constantinople, once a thriving center of commerce, never fully regained its economic vitality. Military vulnerability. The Byzantines lacked the resources to rebuild their military strength. This allowed rising powers, particularly the Ottoman Turks, to encroach upon their territories, leading to the eventual fall of Constantinople in 1453. 7.2 Western Europe's gains and challenges. The consequences of the Fourth Crusade were not confined to the Byzantine Empire. They also significantly affected Western Europe. Venetian dominance. Venice's role as a key orchestrator of the Fourth Crusade solidified its position as a dominant maritime power. The Venetians gained control over islands, ports, and trade routes, securing a monopoly over Mediterranean commerce, cultural exchange, and the Renaissance. The sack of Constantinople and the transfer of Byzantine artifacts, manuscripts, and scholars to Western Europe enriched European intellectual life. This influx of knowledge contributed to the early stages of the Renaissance, particularly in Italy. Religious disillusionment. The Fourth Crusade damaged the credibility of the crusading movement in the eyes of many Europeans. The betrayal of fellow Christians and the prioritization of material wealth over religious objectives led to widespread disillusionment, weakening the appeal of future crusades.